He raped me with a gun to my head the whole time. I remember when my best friend finally came out of the room, she just had sex. I was crying and I was shaking and everything, and I'm like, we need to get out of here now. And because she was laughing at me.
It's a lot of podcasts that do a lot of gossiping. We call this Big Bait, because we got bigger fish to fry. Excuse me?
What's your name?
My name is Crystal. Well, I was born in Laconia, New Hampshire, but I'm in Concord right now.
So how was your childhood growing up?
My childhood was actually a really good childhood. I mean, besides the part of like me being very sheltered, but I went to Disney World every April vacation growing up. For the most part, I had a really good childhood. Right. My mom just didn't want anything to happen to me. Like, she always just wanted me to be right by her to make sure that nothing would ever happen and that no bad would happen around me or to me.
Okay, did it work? Did you have any childhood trauma?
I did.
Okay.
A couple times. Yeah. Once when I was 5 years old, and another time when I was 16.
So you said one time when you was 5?
Yes. And the other time was when I was 16.
Okay, so if you don't mind me asking, what happened when you was 5?
I was raped by not really a family member. It was like a step cousin. Yeah. He was living with my grandparents at the time because my uncle was his stepfather, and my uncle's wife, his mom, was in jail, so they took custody of him. And so he lived with them for a while, and I would go over to my grandparents a lot. I loved being at my grandparents. And one night I asked him if he could, I went down to his room and asked if he could fix the VCR up in my grandmother's room because it wasn't working right. And that's how it happened. And I just remember after I left the room and went up to my grandmother's room, and he actually still had the nerve to go try to fix it, and he did. And after he left my grandmother's room, I was just in the corner sitting like this and just like rocking myself back and forth. And I just remember asking my grandmother, am I gonna blow up? And I just remember those words so much because I felt inside like I was gonna blow up after what I just went through. And I told her what happened, and she called my mom, and she came, and by that time I guess I was sleeping, so she didn't take me away right away. But for some reason they didn't have the authorities involved. They didn't have me go to the hospital. And
how old was he?
He was 14.
Right. I'm sorry to hear that. And how do you think that affected you growing up?
I kind of felt like seeing the authorities weren't involved, and like me not like going to the hospital, getting checked or anything, and like it kind of was just like nothing ever was brought up ever again about it. And I felt like, not that it was like normal, because I know it wasn't, but like that it was something that maybe I did, or something that like, I don't know,
So did you feel like helpless, or like did you blame yourself?
Kind of, in ways. It was really confusing for me because it's just how it was just totally dropped, and it was confusing.
Right. And what, if you don't mind, I know it's kind of hard, and what about when you were 16?
When I was 16, I was over at my best friend's house, and it was summertime. I spent like the whole summer with her, and so one night, her mom sold her daughter and me for drugs.
No.
Her mother was a very, very bad heroin addict, and sold us both for her next high. And so the her dealer came to the house where me and my best friend were, their house, and he just, told us that, he pretty much owns us right now, and that we need to leave with him and his friends. And he had two other males with him and a female. I guess it was his girlfriend. And so we left with them. I was so scared the whole time. My best friend actually kind of was like thinking it would be fun because she was very, very boy crazy. I wasn't. And she knew one of the guys that was with him, and she liked him. So she was kind of happy about us leaving to go to a hotel with them. I was scared so much the whole time. And when we got in the van to go, I saw in the back seat that it was a lot of guns. Yeah, it was very, very scary.
How old was your friend?
She was 17.
So she was a little over 1 year. How old was the guy?
I don't know. I would probably say 20s, late 20s maybe.
Yeah, and it was more than one.
Yeah, the guy and his girlfriend, and he had two of his friends with him. And so when we got to the hotel, him and his girlfriend went in one of the rooms, and they got one room, but it had two bedrooms in it, like two other bedrooms and a living room. And so him and his girlfriend got one of the bedrooms, and my best friend went with one of the other guys, the one that she was attracted to, and went in the other bedroom with him. And I was left out in the living room with the other guy that was there by myself, and he had a gun on him. And not soon after they all went in the rooms, he raped me with a gun to my head the whole time. And
he had a gun to your head?
Yeah.
And after that, did they take you back home, or?
No, he left right away, just him. And, everybody else was still in the rooms and stuff. And I remember when my best friend finally came out of the room, she just had sex, consent sex with the other guy, because, like I said, she already liked him and everything. When she came out, I told her, like, secretly, like, we gotta leave. I need to get out of here. I don't want to be here anymore. I didn't tell her right away what happened. But I was crying and I was shaking and everything, and I'm like, we need to get out of here now. And because she was laughing at me, giggling and saying, why do we have to go? And because she did a line of coke and she was drinking beers with them, and I certainly did not do any of that. I was against doing drugs and drinking, and the way I was brought up in a Christian family, and I just knew that was something bad to do. She was pretty drunk, high, intoxicated, so she was still wanting to stay there, but I finally got through to her, and I'm like, go talk to the guy that brought us here. And so actually he let us go because I called a cab and I'm like, I'm getting out of here.
So when you got free, did you tell anyone?
I did tell my best friend what happened, and she felt really, really bad about it. And
you never told your mom?
I never told my mom, actually, until a few years down the road. I felt like she would judge me maybe, and maybe not, like, I don't know. I really don't know why I didn't tell my mom right away. I knew I should have. And
do you think maybe because the first guy, nothing happened?
Maybe, actually. Maybe because nothing was ever done back then when I was 5, and maybe that is a good reason why I never told her right away. But and another actually a reason is because I knew she would have called the cops if I told her right away. She would have had something happen, and I didn't want to do that because he told me, like, if you tell anybody what's going on, I will kill you. He had a gun in my head the whole time, so I was scared shitless. Like,
so how did that affect your dating after that and your relationships?
It affected it. It didn't really affect my relationships. I just like. I got really quiet. Like I was a very, very shy person anyway. Beyond shy. Like I would not talk to anybody, not because like I didn't like them or anything. I just was too shy to talk. And but it didn't really affect my future relationships much. I mean, almost 2 years later, I met my 2 older children's father, and I was with him for 5 years, and I've only had 3 serious relationships, and that's it. And yeah.
So as far as the guys, both of the guys, the guy from when you was 5 and the guy from when you was 16, like, how it is like forgiving those guys? Do you forgive them or
no? I know that like people, like a lot of people have said that like in ways I should forgive, but like I can't come to terms to do that, to forgive someone for doing that to me. They made so many. I can't. I had a lot of trust issues like my whole life.
okay?
Badly trust issues.
So I know you were speaking about your first baby dad. So how many kids do you have?
I have 3 children.
Okay, what's the ages?
My oldest, my daughter, her name's Jasmine, and she will be 18 in February. My second, his name is Xander. He'll be 17 in February. And my third, her name is Sabrina, and she's 3 years old.
Right. And what's your relationship with the kids?
Me and my 2 older children talk every day on Facebook or on the phone or whatever. Well, not every day, mostly every day, but we still have a good relationship. I haven't seen my 3-year-old in about a year. Yeah. It's just been very, very hard since losing them.
Yeah, is DCF involved?
Yes.
With the youngest or with all?
With all of them. My 2 older children, they were all in the same home, but my 2 oldest children, the woman said that she couldn't handle all of them, so my 2 oldest children had to find a different home for them. And my daughter actually lives with her best friend, and my son actually lives with one of his best friends. So, and my youngest, she still is with that foster parent.
And do you worry about them being safe because of everything you went through?
Oh, I worry about that every day. Every day I worry about that. That will always be something on my mind, because being a parent, a mom, and I hope nothing like that would ever happen to them.
Right. Oh man. So what's your plans on getting them back?
Well, I'm waiting to get my apartment, because I know that like me being out here, being homeless, I would not have a leg to stand on. to get them back. So I'm just waiting to get my apartment, and I'm going to appeal the court and go from there to try to get them back.
So how long have you been homeless?
Been like a year and a half, almost 2 years.
Right. So where have you been staying?
In a tent with my fiance.
Okay. Now how do you guys get money?
We really don't have much money a lot of the time. Sometimes we do, like, we work at People Ready sometimes, which is a day labor place. Like if there's like odd jobs or whatever for a day or whatever, that's how we get money sometimes.
Right. So do you think it's hard out here? Like, do you think it's, because a lot of people that, look at homeless people, sometimes they think, hey, you're lazy, you don't want to work. Do you feel like the government should do more and that it's a lot harder than people make it seem?
Oh yeah. I definitely don't think that homelessness is because of laziness, because they don't want to work, or, I mean, there's people out here that, like, they were rich at one point and just things happen and they get evicted from their house or divorced, and the wife or husband gets everything, and then that person, like, they don't have anything and didn't have family. Like, it could be so many different situations, and just, I really don't think it has anything to do with laziness. And a lot of homeless people, like, a lot of them, I would say probably 75%, maybe even more, are drug addicts.
How did you start using drugs and what caused it?
I started, my whole life I was always against drugs, and I am very surprised I ever actually did start. Let's see, it was 4 years ago, the first time I ever tried a drug, and that was meth. And whatever, my cousin, she...
Big God, big blessings, big bait. Excuse me.